Imagine for a moment that the greatest power in the universe isn't, out there somewhere in distant galaxies or ancient gods, but actually within you.
Right.
That right here, right now, you have this inherent, unwavering ability to shape your entire reality. It's quite a bold claim, isn't it?
It really is, and it gets right to the heart of what we're diving into today. So welcome, everyone, to a deep dive into some, well, truly profound concepts about creation, about the self.
Absolutely. Today, we're exploring these extraordinary insights found in Rodney Josephson's book, How the World Was Made. And it's subtitled A Series of Mini Books for the Expansion of Man's Consciousness.
Yeah, and this isn't just like abstract philosophy. Josephson explains that his book is based on what he calls personal revelations, things he says he received directly from God over about 11 months.
Wow.
And then he cross-references these revelations with biblical scripture. He actually cites passages like John 17.5, Ecclesiastes 1.9, and John 1.1 to back things up.
And he doesn't stop there, right?
Yeah.
He also brings in other, renowned authors to kind of corroborate his perspective. People like Neville Goddard, Dr. Joseph Murphy, William Blake, even Albert Einstein. It's this really fascinating mix of spiritual and, I guess you could say, intuitive thought.
Exactly. Josephson's mission, his core aim with this work, is really to help everyone rediscover their true selves and to convey what he calls fixed significant truth in a way that's accessible. It feels like a dedication to helping humanity wake up.
So, okay, our mission for this deep dive then is to unpack Josephson's really unique perspective. This radical idea that every single individual isn't just a participant in life, but an active co-creator of their reality, the king, as he puts it. And understanding this, he argues, changes absolutely everything. So let's dive in.
Let's do it. So Josephson starts by saying that each of us, you, me, everyone, is internal spirit, and we have inherent access to the wisdom of the universe. He introduces this foundational concept with this really powerful statement. You, the I am that I am, and I am what I choose to be, for I am, are written in stone for an excellent reason.
That's a profoundly empowering way to put it. He really hammers home this idea that every person is the king, has always been the king, and will always be the king.
Right.
And just to be clear, when he uses the word man, he means everyone, both genders,
Yeah.
right? Just for simplicity. So man as king means everyone is king.
Precisely. And a really critical insight he offers here is the contrast. He talks about what he calls ignorant man, who often believes he's separate from this universal body, this universal power.
Okay, separate how?
Well, instead of recognizing their own innate power, they might praise external leaders or gurus or what have you. Essentially, they're giving away their own sovereignty, their own kingship. The implication is that real power is an internal recognition, not something you find outside yourself.
And at the very center of this innate power, he puts our mind, or specifically our imagination.
Yes, exactly. He calls it the all-seeing eye, the center of everything. And he notes its presence in various spiritual traditions, religious sources, even in groups like the Illuminati and Freemasons, which is interesting.
So if our mind, our imagination, is truly this all-seeing eye, the very center of our universe, how does he take that idea deeper? What's the next layer?
Well, building on that, he introduces something even more nuanced, which he calls the eighth eye. And he references William Blake here.
The eighth eye.
Yeah, think of it like a deeper, more subtle layer of our consciousness, a kind of perceptive ability that he says is usually veiled or hidden from us.
Okay.
But when it's unveiled, it lets us truly tap into and unleash the actual order of creation in the universe. He sees the number 8, often a symbol for infinity, as representing this profound spiritual rebirth, this unity with the Creator that goes beyond our everyday awareness.
Huh. It's interesting how he connects this to his own life, too, saying his personal sacrifice is about helping us all rise to that potential as king or queen. It seems very personal for him.
Very much so. And he uses the ancient symbol of the pyramid to represent what he calls the true and complete man, the one possessing this all-seeing eye of power, wisdom, eternal life.
So the pyramid symbolizes
Complete control of one's imagination, essentially, the peak of consciousness.
He gives that simple example, doesn't he, about the chair. The chair you sit on was imagined once, then built, was it not?
Exactly. And the insight there is just profound. Your whole physical world isn't just around you. It's a tangible result of what was first imagined. It totally reframes cause and effect.
So thoughts aren't just fleeting ideas.
Not according to him. He sees them as actual forms of energy. They create images like little movies in your mind, sometimes still, sometimes moving, with feelings and context attached. And these then eventually coalesce into physical matter.
Which ties right into that biblical idea, there is nothing new under the sun.
Right, from Ecclesiastes, Josephson interprets that to mean we're not really creating brand new things from nothing. We're more like remembering or recalling things that already existed in the universal mind, just bringing them into our current focus.
Okay, now this next concept really makes you stop and think.
Yeah.
Josephson says our awareness of being conscious can only happen in the now.
Yes.
If that's true, how does that change how we think about past and future?
It changes everything. He explains that in this now, literally everything possible, all dimensions, timelines, energies, memories, situations, conditions already exists, all at the same time.
Oh,
So it fundamentally means that you are at the center of your reality now. Period. He even states he's personally experienced multiple dimensions right here in the present as an act. That just reinforces this perspective for him.
and he puts a huge emphasis on core values,
Right.
right, as the center of your life. Things like love, happiness, truth, they guide your thoughts, your actions.
And here's an interesting twist. He talks about being self-centered as actually being crucial.
But not in an arrogant way.
No, not arrogant or selfish. It's about recognizing that you are the most important person in your own reality. He sees this as the catalyst, the spark to get back on track. Because if you aren't centered, how can your reality be?
That makes sense.
And your values, he explains, aren't just abstract ideas. They actually radiate energy. They engage things like the law of attraction, the law of projection and reflection, and magnetism.
So it's like an energetic broadcast.
Exactly. He gives the example of giving to those in need. He says the universe then rewards you with abundant opportunities, like a fountain spraying goodness back at you. It's a direct energetic exchange.
So if your inner world is radiating these values, how does that show up outside? What does that look like in the, the real world?
Well, that's the core of what Josephson calls the universal mirror. He argues that your inner state doesn't just influence your outer world, it's quite literally projected onto it and then reflected back to you.
Project it and reflect.
Yes. He states it pretty bluntly. Everything comes from within, for the world is without. All your mental stuff, your thoughts, concepts, images materialize out there as the fruits of those thoughts.
He talks about projection as building concepts, images, symbols, language, feelings, and those become the objects and situations around us.
Right. He even points to things like movies and books, like Alice Through the Looking Glass, suggesting they contain truths about how things conceived in the mind must be real somewhere. The whole looking glass idea itself echoes this internal manifestation.
So once you have a creative thought,
It's projected out and then reflected back into your reality. He puts it simply, what I see in the mirror is the truth of my thoughts and imagination.
like a literal mirror.
Think of it that way first. If you're happy, your reflection looks happy. If you smile at someone, often they smile back, right? It's an immediate reflection.
Yeah, okay, I see. And this connects powerfully to that idea of love thy neighbor.
Yes. Josephson interprets that verse from Leviticus, love thy neighbor, for he is you in the mirror, that of which is your projection. His point is, thinking positively about your neighbor isn't just being nice. It fundamentally changes your world because, eventually, they have to reflect your thoughts back to you.
Which also means
Be careful about projecting negative thoughts, because those will inevitably return to you and cause problems. So, positive thoughts lead to a win-win, always.
okay, then he brings in this analogy of a coin of great value.
Yeah, the coin. Two sides, obviously.
Right.
But the edge, he says, is a transition point where both sides exist at the same time.
The edge, like between states.
Exactly. He relates it to the dream state.
Mm.
Transitioning from being awake to asleep, or even just deep daydreaming, involves passing through this moment of complete emptiness or void. That edge, that void, is key.
So this implies everything exists simultaneously. Both sides, the edge, even nothingness.
That's the idea. And to illustrate this mirror or coin concept, he talks about his own experience having an identical twin.
Right, I remember reading that.
He describes it as two physical bodies, but essentially one mind thinking. For him, this proved a deep spiritual connection that goes way beyond just the physical form.
So moving from that, he talks about a divine core.
Yes, the divine core of the universal transition point or space. Think of it as a centered body of energy, like a hub where you can go in any direction. Everything is possible and already exists, he says, only if you seek it in the mirror.
But this raises a big question. What's your intent when you access this kind of power?
crucial point.
Okay.
He really emphasizes righteous intent, using this power for good, for love, happiness, health, wealth, positive things, not for negative purposes, because everyone is you and you are them as one in the body of the divine. So the golden rule isn't just a nice suggestion, it's like a fundamental law of how this works. What you put out comes back.
And he even describes a physical feeling associated with this.
He does. When this energy is attained, he describes it as feeling dense and electrified, soft and vitalizing. He says it moves like a cobra and radiates outwards to others. It's a very tangible description, suggesting it's not just an idea, but something you can actually feel.
So we've got imagination as the center. The world is a mirror.
Yeah.
How do we actually use this? What's the language of creation here?
Well, that leads us right into the power of language itself, what Josephson calls the language of creation, words as energy.
Okay.
And he goes right back to the Bible. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, John 1:1.
So the word is foundational.
For him, yes, it establishes everything as divine, eternal. So everything we read, everything we speak has to be filtered through this reality of divine creative power.
Our imagination then is the author, the power behind our world.
Exactly. And he introduces this method called chunking as a way to understand creation through words.
Chunking, like breaking things down.
Yeah, it's like a mental tool. You ask questions about something. What larger category is this part of? How is it related to other things? And what are its basic elements?
He uses the chair example again here, doesn't he?
He does, showing how it was birthed by imagination, why it exists, its connections to design, materials, etc. And he makes this huge claim. Man's power of imagination created the clothes you wear, the cars you drive, the wars, the famines, everything. It's all a product of imagination first.
And he makes that interesting link to abracadabra.
Right. He connects it to potential Hebrew or Aramaic roots, meaning something like, I create as I speak, or I will create man. It just underscores the creative power he sees in our words.
He also dives into specific words, like the suffix ment.
Yes, like in commandment, judgment, government. He relates it to the mind, M-E-N-T, mind. It's about how concepts in the mind produce results outwardly. We are rulers of our own mental state, our mental government, if you will.
And the word king itself.
He traces it back to its ancient roots, meaning ruler or chief. And he insists this is our true identity, inherent in us, not tied to bloodlines or needing external validation. He strongly believes no person should rule another unless they're given that authority consensually. It all comes back to that inner sovereignty.
Then he points out verbs, action words.
Yeah. Speaking, walking, thinking, working. The ing shows energy being used, being employed to create something.
So an idle mind creates nothing.
But an active imagination expressed through thought and word makes the world. That's the core message.
And ultimately, he links words directly to energy and frequency.
Exactly. Speaking creates sound energy. Words are energy, frequencies. He even mentions how water is known to remember sound, highlighting the impact of intentional vibration. His advice is clear. Choose your words accordingly to build up life and expand the universal mind. Conscious communication is key.
Okay, so this whole understanding of creation naturally leads to how we experience reality itself. Time, dreams, cycles.
Precisely. Which brings us to navigating these concepts.
All right, section 4. Navigating reality, time, dreams, and cycles. He kicks this off by reinforcing that whole idea about time being, well, maybe not what we think it is.
Yeah, basically an illusion, especially for eternal beings in infinity. He argues there's no real past, present, future because everything exists now. Our imagination just brings things into our focus, whether we label that now or later.
So how does memory fit in? Or experiences?
He describes them as blocks of memory or sequences of experiences. Think of them like pre-recorded scenes or moments that always exist and are accessible from where you are right now in the now.
Like files in a giant cosmic library.
Sort of. And these blocks contain everything. Context, conditions, objects, people, even sensory details, what you see, feel, hear, smell, taste, they're complete.
Okay, that's interesting. But here's the really wild part he claims.
That you can modify them.
Yes, that you can change these blocks, past or future, if you choose to. Make them what you prefer or desire.
It's a huge concept. So a negative past event can't be just erased, but he suggests you can modify its impact, maybe focus on different aspects within that block to shift its energy toward a positive outcome.
This unveiling what is not seen, as he puts it, helps shape your present and future. He uses that analogy of a movie set.
Right. You're the author, the power, the director of your own life script. You choose the scenes, the focus.
He does give a warning, though, about trying to merge life with non-living elements.
Yes, he links that to potential issues, what he calls physical retardation or psychological mental retardation. His view seems to be that it disrupts the natural energetic flow of creation, causing stagnation or distortion.
So because everything exists now, he says we can choose a time, go back, experience it, even modify it. Time travel, essentially.
That's what he asserts. And he talks about life cycles, how we die and live once again to experience the fruits of your thoughts.
And déjà vu.
He sees those moments as literally remembering past life memory blocks popping into your current awareness.
He also mentions breaking chains of past generations.
By forgiving others, forgiving yourself, speaking your truth to family and friends, it's about clearing those old energetic patterns tied to those memory blocks.
Now, what about dreams? He has a unique take here, too.
Very unique. He basically says we're always in a dream state, whether we're technically asleep or awake.
Always dreaming.
Yeah, which implies there's an infinite number of states or contexts that one can be in or visit. And that pivot point from the coin analogy earlier, that's the void, the nothingness between these states or dreams, pure potential.
And he claims we can control both sides, the dreaming side and the waking side, manipulate things.
Yes, control both sides of the kink, as he puts it. And for him, things like time travel taking different forms, he considers them fact, not fiction, stemming from this infinite potential accessible through the dream state.
Okay, how does he suggest we actually do that? Manifest things using dreams?
He outlines a specific three-phase process for what he calls making dream sequences to bring desires into reality.
Okay, phase 1.
Phase 1 is daydream. Before you go to sleep, you vividly imagine your desired outcome, your dream, in the first person. Use all your senses, see it, feel it, hear it, really live it in your imagination.
Got it. Phase 2.
Phase 2 is the sleep dream. As you sleep, your subconscious mind starts working on these desires. You might even literally dream about what you were just daydreaming. The subconscious starts forming it.
And phase 3.
Phase 3 is reality. Slowly but surely, he says, the things you desired and impressed upon your subconscious start to appear in your waking life, in your physical reality.
So the conscious mind commands the subconscious.
And the subconscious has no choice but to birth your imagined state of being. That's his view. Which is why maintaining a balanced mind, harmonious thoughts, yin and yang, he mentions, is so important. It avoids confusion and repeating negative patterns.
Which leads naturally to positive affirmations.
Exactly. Things like, I am love, I am rich, I am prosperous, I am healthy, I am happily married, stating them as present fact impresses the subconscious.
This whole journey of understanding yourself as this powerful co-creator, it culminates in what he calls the awakened state, right?
Yes, that's the destination, or perhaps the realization.
So what does this all mean for us, for you listening?
Right.
What are the signs of this awakened state? This is section 5, the awakened state signs and personal journeys. Josephson says that right now, most of us are in a kind of deep sleep, but that we will awaken to the realization of being the I am, which he actually equates to being the Jesus, the Christ.
Wow.
That's a big statement.
It is, and he explains this awakening isn't about learning something totally new, but going through phases of remembering the wisdom, the experiences, the skills, the knowledge that, in his view, were always there inside us, just forgotten or veiled.
What are some signs he points to? How might you know this is happening?
Well, things like suddenly recognizing symbols everywhere or seeing repeated numbers popping up constantly, having incredibly vivid dreams, or even feeling like reality itself is a dream state, maybe feeling a bit detached, like you're floating around like a bit drunk, as he puts it.
He shares quite a bit from his own journey, doesn't he? Like his connection to the number 19.
He does, his special number 19. He pinpoints his own awakening date as March 19, 2023, 3.19. He mentions how Psalms 3 and 19 felt like confirmations of his identity as the I am.
And his first song, Flow.
Written on that exact date, 3.19.2023, and he notes its length is 3 minutes 22 seconds, connecting that to Bible verses John 3.19 and Galatians 3.22. For him, these aren't coincidences, they're profound validations.
He also talks about specific encounters, meetings.
Yes, experiences he sees as confirmations. Meeting people he calls messengers, both in dreams, like a man with a specific scar, and in waking life. He tells a story about a man with an eye tattoo at the Wynn Hotel who apparently saw Josephson's drawing of a pyramid and eye and just dropped to his knees. These are powerful personal moments for him.
He mentions dreams after his identical twin passed away too, and prophetic dreams.
Right, dreams about fires, or a watch breaking just before a rock hit his windscreen. Even a dream about a license plate, Dio Leo, which he connected to Oil of Joy in the Psalms. And a YouTube video he made on Halloween, taking off the mask. It's all part of his narrative of awakening.
And really stresses journaling through all this.
Absolutely. As a way to decipher these messages, track the signs, and confirm the experiences as you navigate your own awakening path. He even sees his varied career optics, politics, education, business, NLP as part of this journey, like different chapters where he was learning and slaying Goliaths.
So in this awakened state, what happens? How do you perceive things differently?
You know yourself as energy, as vibration, as part of the divine rhythm. You understand you are both the receiver and sender, the projector.
And reality becomes like a pixelated screen.
That's his analogy, a screen made up of these contextual blocks of experience that we talked about earlier.
So you shift from being maybe a character in the movie
To being the observer, the master, the controller, the architect of your realities. This awakened state, according to Josephson, grants access to everything the universal mind Akashic records. Infinite realities, all accessible right here, right now.
and he brings it back to the Garden of Eden.
Yes, with this really hopeful message. The Garden of Eden is already here, always had been, and always will be in the now, in the imagination of man. It's not some lost place. It's an ever-present potential within us.
What's really striking is how this whole journey he describes isn't about becoming something new, but about remembering, unveiling what's already within you.
Exactly. So, to kind of wrap up this deep dive, the core message is profound. You are the king, the I am, a co-creator of your reality. You're responsible for what you experience because the world you see is fundamentally a reflection of your own inner imagination.
And taking back this incredible power, it doesn't have to be some giant leap. It begins one step at a time, and that step starts now. You have, as he says, the power, the glory as king by divine creation to master your life here in the world of Caesar.
So if everything you imagine must exist somewhere and, according to Josephson, will eventually show up in your reality, what is the one thing you will dare to imagine for yourself right now with conscious, deliberate intent? Something to think about.